In 1961, when Yuri Gagarin finally said his quiet, legendary "let's go," his journey into space had already begun more than a decade earlier. Sredi ruin strany, razbitai voinoi. The Soviet Union entered the 1950s not as a confident superpower, but as an exhausted state that had lost around 27 million people and was covered with shattered cities, broken roads, and ruined factories. People squeezed into communal apartments, queued for bread and coal, and prosta pytались vyжить. Yet deep inside the country, a new force was forming. Rocket design bureaus and scientists, ordered to turn the impossible into reality. Right after 1945, the main task was simple: survive and rebuild. Bridges, power stations, plants, and railways had to be restored before anyone mógł mечтать o звездах. But by the end of the decade, priorities shifted. Alongside steel and coal, the Kremlin wanted long-range missiles that could carry nuclear warheads to other continents. The Cold War did not start with space, it started with fear. Washington feared the Red Army and Soviet bombs. Moscow feared American bombers and the hydrogen bomb. Rockets became the new shield and sword of the future, and everything to do with space was at first only a byproduct of the arms race. Here, a key figure quietly steps onto the stage: Sergei Korolev. Without him, the story of Gagarin might never have happened. In the late 1930s, he was arrested, broken during interrogations, and sent to the Gulag. Later, during the war, he was moved into a secret prison design bureau, where engineers worked under guard for the state. After 1945, Korolev emerged as the chief designer of Soviet rockets. First, he studied and copied captured German V-2s, then, step by step, created his own family of launch vehicles that would one day carry payloads and people into orbit. His real name remained classified. Even inside the country, he existed simply as the chief designer. Meanwhile, the world slid into the full chill of the Cold War. In 1949, the USSR tested its first atomic bomb, then a hydrogen bomb, proving it could match American nuclear power. Both sides now understood they were capable of destroying each other. To deliver these warheads across oceans, they needed reliable intercontinental missiles. Every successful test of a new rocket stage brought the planet closer both to nuclear apocalypse and to a new era in space. The United States pushed its own programs, but in October 1957, the balance suddenly shifted. A beeping signal cut into radio broadcasts around the globe. The voice of Sputnik 1, the first artificial satellite of Earth. The launch of Sputnik hit like a shockwave. For the United States, it became the Sputnik crisis. Newspapers wrote that a Soviet object was now flying over American territory, and if the USSR could lift a satellite into orbit, it could potentially lift a warhead too. Inside the Soviet Union, the success was presented as proof of the technological superiority of socialism. But for the engineers, it was only the first step. A month later, they launched Sputnik 2 with the dog Laika on board, the first living creature to orbit the planet and to die there. Later came the heavier Sputnik 3, packed with instruments that collected serious scientific data on the upper atmosphere and radiation belts. By the end of the 1950s, one fact was obvious. The Soviet Union had broken ahead in the space race. It now had a rocket powerful enough to lift heavy spacecraft, experience from several orbital launches, and a growing understanding of how living organisms handle launch, weightlessness, and re-entry. Each success, however, was paid for with dangerous tests, near catastrophic failures, and accidents that the public never heard about. Standing on this knife edge, between the fear of disaster and the hunger for triumph, Soviet leaders and engineers made a new decision. The next payload into orbit would not be metal, but a human being. И этого человека должен был узнать весь мир. In the late spring of the 1950s, sending a human into space stops being science fiction. After Sputnik 1 and Sputnik 2, Soviet leaders know the next step must shock the world. The flight has to succeed on the first try. Failure would damage the superpower's reputation during the Cold War. Sergei Korolev, chief designer, takes charge of selecting and training the human component. He needs not a romantic hero, but a reliable machine. Calm, disciplined, built for extreme overloads. Criteria are brutal. Age under 30 for physical resilience. Height no taller than 100 centimeters. Weight up to 72 kg. The Vostok capsule is cramped like an iron egg. Only fighter pilots. Men accustomed to 8G forces, strict orders, and silence. Psyche must be flawless. Health must be perfect. In March 1960, a squad of 20 candidates forms near Moscow at a secret facility that will become Star City. These men are elite Soviet aviators, hand-picked from hundreds. Months of grueling testing follow. Centrifuges spin them to 9G, crushing bodies and draining blood from brains. Vacuum barochambers simulate high altitude, starving lungs of oxygen. Isolation cells lock them away for 10 days in total darkness and silence. Parachute jumps in brutal winds. Medical exams probe every organ. Training is merciless. The weak break quickly. Some collapse under G-forces, others crack in isolation. Only the toughest survive. Men who stay ice-cold under pressure. Senior Lieutenant Yuri Gagarin rises to the top. At 26, born in Klushino village near Smolensk, his childhood was scarred by Nazi occupation. Fascists in the family shed. Starvation. Ruins. After war came vocational school, aviation training, then MiG fighters. At 157 centimeters and 57 kilo, his body fits the cramped capsule perfectly. But his real edge is character. Simple face, easy smile, calm eyes. He does not dominate, yet people are drawn to him. Confident but never arrogant. Cooperative, good-humored, able to diffuse tension. In an environment where any trace of instability is disqualifying, Gagarin's temperament is gold. Korolev notices immediately. Rivalry remains fierce. Top contender, German Titov, taller, stronger, exceptional under G-forces. Pavel Popovich and Grigory Nelyubov, also strong. Leadership weighs medical data, biography, political reliability, camera presence. On January 18, 1961, the decision. Gagarin flies first. Titov becomes backup for a longer mission. Gagarin wins on more than fitness. He is the son of a carpenter and milkmaid, perfect embodiment of Soviet youth. Vostok simulators are built at Star City. Candidates spend hours inside cramped spheres in full spacesuits. They drill entry-exit procedures, learn control panels, rehearse emergencies. Flight will be nearly fully automatic, but manual overrides exist for system failures. Cosmonauts must enter secret codes and flip specific switches. Sequences repeated hundreds of times until motions become mechanical. Night before launch, April 11, 1961. Gagarin sleeps fitfully in Star City barracks. Medical checks confirm fitness. He writes a short note to wife Valentina, just in case. At 4 a.m., he wakes, blood pressure and pulse measured. Light breakfast. Then suiting up. Bright orange SK-1 spacesuit, layer by layer. Helmet sealed, life support connected. A bus takes him through pre-dawn darkness toward Baikonur. Outside, Fog clings to the step. He stares at the ceiling, knowing there is no way back. In hours, one word will echo around the world. The farm boy becomes the face of the future. Dawn breaks cold and gray over the Kazakh steppe. April 12, 1961, 5:30 a.m. Baikonur Cosmodrome shrouded in thick fog. Technicians in fur hats scurry around the R-7 rocket, a 38-meter giant, 4 booster stages strapped to a core, painted pale blue with red stripes. Atop sits Vostok. 1. A silver sphere just 2.3 meters wide, packed with fuel tanks, retro rockets, and a single ejection seat. Inside, barely room to flex elbows. Sergei Korolev watches from the blockhouse, chain smoking, face etched with tension. A black Gaz-13 Chaika bus cuts through the mist. Yuri Gagarin steps out, 27 years old, 157 nanoampere tall, squeezed into his bright orange SK-1 spacesuit. Helmet underarm, he waves casually to the pad crew. Technicians hoist him aboard via a ladder, crawling feet first into the cockpit. Straps cinch tight. Heart monitor beeps at 110 BPM. Hatches bolt shut, 7 layers thick. Final checks. Oxygen green, telemetry live, destruct system armed. Korolev's voice crackles. Preliminary stage. Lift off. T-140. Turbo pumps whine. Countdown hits 0. Flames explode from the base, but 500 tons of thrust rip the rocket skyward. Earth shakes violently. Gagarin pinned at 4G, blood draining from face, vision tunneling. At T+60 seconds, first stage jettisons with a flash. Boosters peel away like orange peels. Acceleration climbs to 5G. Second stage ignites. Horizon tilts. At T+5 minutes, core stage drops. Vostok coasts upward, piercing 300-kilometer altitude. Third stage fires precisely. Orbit locked. 175 by 327 kilometer ellipse. One loop every 89.1 minutes. Total flight, 108 minutes planned. Weightlessness floods in. Gagarin floats against restraints. First human ever. Through the tiny porthole, periscopic view only, Earth unfurls like a marble. Siberia's snowfields gleam white below, Ural's jagged black. Pacific Ocean sparkles deep blue, horizon glowing purple into star-filled void. Clouds swirl over Australia. No borders visible, just fragile blue against endless black. Stars blaze unnaturally bright. No atmosphere to dim them. Cabin silent save for fans humming, his own steady breaths. Heart rate holds at 140 BPM. No panic. Radio links up with ground control. Ground erupts in restrained cheers. Korolev wipes sweat, fist clenched. Dangers stack high from the start. Primary fear. Retro rockets fail to fire, dooming eternal orbit. Re-entry angle must hit exactly 1.4 degrees. If steeper, plasma fries the ship at 7,000 degrees Celsius. Shallower, skips off like a stone. Heat shield chars away fast. No second chance. Fuel for one orbit only. Backup. 2 manual override levers under seat, untested in flight. Ejection at 7 km mandatory. Parachute lands him 10 km from capsule. Service module tethers, risk tangling. Gagarin trained for all, fingers near controls. Yet systems purr automatic. He reports vitals, eats a tube of meat paste, tests instruments. 1 full orbit ticks by. At 89 minutes, retro rockets pulse. Sharp jolt slows the craft. Service module pyros bang apart. Vostok 1 orients blunt end forward. Re-entry ignites. Plasma fireball engulfs the sphere. Windows black out in white-hot glow. Ionized air cuts all radio for 10 agonizing minutes. Gagarin slams at 8 to 10 degrees, blacking out briefly. G-forces peak at 12 degrees near 40 km. Capsule skips once, shedding heat. At 7 km, seat ejects downward. Gagarin freefalls, pulls D-ring. Main chute billows orange against blue sky. Reserve ready. Wind howls at 200 kph. Boots touch snow near Engels. Saratov Oblast, 10:55 a.m. local. Two peasant women, Anna and Rita, milking cows nearby, spot the orange figure tumbling from sky. A girl cowers behind them. Gagarin yanks off helmet and shares their milk. Calls Engels airfield on radio. MiGs scramble to verify. Capsule parachutes 15 kilometers east. Intact. Mission control frozen in silence, post-orbit. Telemetry drops during blackout. Khrushchev paces Kremlin. Then faint signal. Everything okay. Landed. Technical commission pores over data strips. Korolev exhales. Success. At 10:07 a.m., Moscow time, Radio Moscow intones. The Soviet Union has launched the world's first spaceship carrying a man on board, Yuri Alexeyevich Gagarin. Factories halt mid-shift. Moscow streets flood with cheering crowds. London wakes to headlines. Washington reels. Kennedy convenes crisis talks. NASA accelerates Apollo. A farm boy from Klushino beats superpowers to stars. 108 minutes cracked the sky open. Moscow erupts the moment Radio Moscow confirms Gagarin's safe return. April 12, 1961, 10:07 a.m. Factories halt mid-shift. Workers flood streets, waving red flags. Strangers embrace, weeping with joy. Newspapers print special editions. Party officials toast in Kremlin halls. The impossible happened. A Soviet man orbited Earth and came back alive. In Washington, Kennedy stares at headlines, jaw tight. The Soviets beat America to space. Again. First satellite, first animal, now first human. Emergency meetings convene at the White House. CIA briefs on Soviet rocket capabilities. NASA budgets skyrocket overnight. Kennedy's advisors push for bold response. Within weeks, the president pledges moon landing by decade's end. The space race shifts into overdrive. Gagarin lands near Engels, still dazed from re-entry G-forces. Within hours, he boards a military plane to Moscow. April 14th, Red Square swells with 500,000 people. Open ZIL convertible carries him past Kremlin walls. He stands in orange flight suit, waving, grinning. Khrushchev pins Hero of the Soviet Union medal on his chest. Cameras flash. The image circles the globe. Soviet youth, Soviet triumph, Soviet future. Gagarin becomes propaganda gold, living proof of communism's superiority. World reaction splits sharply. Europe celebrates human achievement. UN Secretary-General sends congratulations. But Cold War lines harden. Western intelligence agencies scramble. How far ahead is Soviet rocket technology? If they can orbit a man, they can deliver nuclear warheads anywhere. Fear mixes with admiration. Gagarin tours 30 countries over 2 years. Japan, Canada, Britain, Brazil, Egypt, India. Crowds mob him like a movie star. He shakes hands with Queen Elizabeth, dines with Fidel Castro, meets Nehru in Delhi. Everywhere, he represents not just himself, but Soviet power. Inside USSR, the narrative tightens. State media spins the flight as inevitable triumph of socialist science. School textbooks rewritten overnight. Gagarin posters hang in every classroom, factory, military barracks. Children memorize his biography word for word. Streets renamed in his honor. Yet darker truths stay buried. Dozens of failed launches before Vostok 1. Test pilots killed in accidents. Names classified for decades. Rocket explosions, parachute failures, capsule fires. None reach public ears. Space program remains weapon first, science second. Gagarin's smile hides the bodies. Program accelerates ruthlessly. June 1963, Valentina Tereshkova becomes first woman in space. political statement more than scientific need. March 1965. Alexei Leonov exits spacecraft for first spacewalk, nearly dies when suit inflates dangerously. Lunar race consumes massive resources. N-1 rocket explodes repeatedly on test stands. Soviets push limits, driven by propaganda hunger and military paranoia. Each triumph masks near disasters. Engineers work around the clock, some collapsing from exhaustion. Gagarin's life narrows into celebrity cage. He cannot fly combat missions, too valuable to risk. Cannot speak freely. Handlers script every word. Marriage strains under relentless spotlight. Affairs surface, quietly suppressed by state security. He trains desperately for Soyuz missions, begging for another flight. Permission denied repeatedly. He becomes display piece, trotted out for parades and foreign visits. Behind closed doors, he drinks heavily, argues bitterly with officials. The farm boy who loved flying becomes trapped by his own fame. March 27, 1968. Gagarin and instructor Vladimir Seryogin take routine training flight in MiG-15. Weather poor, visibility low. 10:30 a.m. Jet crashes near Kirzhak, both dead instantly. Official investigation blames pilot error. Rumors explode. Sabotage, cover-up, conspiracy. Truth likely simpler. Aging plane, bad weather, split-second mistake. Gagarin buried with state honors at Kremlin Wall. He was 34. His death closes an era. The bright optimism of April 1961 fades into Cold War reality. Moon race ends with American flags on lunar surface. Soviet program stagnates, hemorrhaging funds and morale. Gagarin's flight, 108 minutes that shook the world, becomes bittersweet memory. It proved humans could reach space. Space was won. The cost stayed hidden.